Hello and welcome back to this short episode of my Dark Souls Let's Play. And if you've been paying attention to the name and the little image that probably went with this video, then you'll know that this is a somewhat shameful video that I've put together right now. I'm doing this in post-commentary, unfortunately, because the audio I actually recorded for this didn't go down very well. And, well, there isn't much to say. The first part is just me trying to think what sort of equipment I should do for my next go at Kalameet. I think I eventually end up looking for Xanatos set items. I'm trying to find a balance between like good dodging and magical resistance, because his breath attacks more than his physical attacks are what's causing the issue. With me dying a lot. So I don't know what I settle for in the end. I may or may not have actually kept the Darkwood Grain Ring. I think I did keep it, because good dodging is very helpful in this fight. Because sometimes you need to rush in and hit him really hard, really quickly. Now you might be wondering why this video is called Kalameet Eats Cheese. Well, that's because I pretty much I was really having some trouble with Kalameet, as you probably told from the last video. I don't think it was anything like insurmountable. It's just that I was terrible at dodging his physical attacks, his sweeps and his claws and such. And so I was looking around and trying to figure out like what could I do to make this fight a little easier. And I came across a particular tactic which I didn't like. I remember the first time I fought Kalameet with regular weapons, he wasn't that difficult, except the strategies I was using the first time were always about how do I cut off his tail, whereas this time it was more about like how can I make the fight actually easier to win. Because it was causing me some trouble. It was very hard to get underneath him and hit his legs with such a short-range weapon that does barely any damage. It's not, you know, it's not the easiest tactic to bring up when you're only sort of able to fight Kalameet. Because this will be only the second time I've ever defeated him, so it's not like I've ever thought up some clever strategy for winning before, but there is one. There is one strategy that might work if you're having trouble with Kalameet and you just want him dead. This won't help you get the tail at all. But when the fight starts, you basically want to run over towards the waterfall area over there. Not the one directly on the wall, but the one near the chest that had the actual slab on it. You can usually get there before Kalameet closes the distance, since he starts at the other end of the valley. I had my soul pile there because I tried this once before, and but Kalameet actually caught up to me the first time I tried this, and it didn't end very well. You have to run directly and very fast. Now the whole point of this is to get near and around the waterfall. He will still use physical attacks, but he generally won't use charging attacks, and he's not terribly smart about the waterfall being there. What this effectively means is he dislikes trying to walk under the waterfall. There's something in his AI programming that says he does not want to enter the waterfall. He does not want to touch the waterfall if he can avoid it. If he tries to walk through the waterfall because his scripting tells him to walk through it, he will basically sort of walk in place in front of it. And that's why this is called. This is why I call this video Cheesing Kalameet, because this is not fighting him very fairly. He is far more likely to use breath attacks in this situation, because as far as he is concerned, you are in a place that he can't walk through. So he starts using long-range attacks, and long-range attacks are the easiest way to counteract what he does, usually. Because his long-range attacks usually leave his head exposed. if you're fast enough to get in and actually attack it when he does a breath attack. The sweeping breath attack in particular is very easy to counter, as you can see what I'm doing there. When he starts it, you just press the sprint button and try and run to the left side of his head and get a punch in before he finishes the entire animation. You can also counter his long-range fire breath that he's using here, but that's a bit harder. You have to be very close because he comes out of the animation much quicker. And he'll usually follow, like if you're right next to his head when he finishes an animation, you're close enough to be... There's also that, don't walk into the flames when trying to get around his head. Yeah, if you're very close to his head when he finishes either breathing animation, he might use Mark of Calamity or just a very quick bite attack. Or a tail whip. Like any of these things can happen. See, I was close to his head, so he decided to try and sweep me, but that was the slower one. Yeah, part of my problem in this fight, as with all other fights, is just that I'm not doing enough damage to him, so defending against his attacks and just wearing him down is takes a long time. As the fight goes on, I seem to get a bit more comfortable at doing multiple attacks to his head before the animation wears out. And the fact that I've got the fast dodge on means I avoid most of the devastating stuff that he would usually use on me. But it is just a very long fight of us staring at each other through the waterfall. I wait for him to do an attack I can counter, and I just counter him with it. Then every now and then he will, because I was in front of the waterfall, he decided to do a charge attack there. And because I'm stupid, I tried to heal while he's perfectly capable of attacking me through the waterfall. As far as cheap tactics go, this is probably the cheapest move you can use on Kalameet, short of just swarming him with phantoms. It doesn't make him helpless, but it does make him very... See, he can still do charge attacks, but they're just not the same. It doesn't make him helpless, but it does seriously reduce his difficulty. And I mean, there are plenty of tactics that you could use to make this even more easy, if that's a word. Anyone who wants to use like bow or spell ranged attacks, like this method makes this incredibly easy fight, because you can just basically sit over here and spam him, and he will not attempt to charge you through the waterfall, except unless you're very close to the front of it. You do have to watch out if you're using sorceries with slow animations, because his breath attack, the forward one, it has a lot of range and it's very fast. Slower ones though, or just him trying to menace you, you can easily get a bunch of free hits in. Also, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure when he does the... Sometimes when you're very close to him, he does that sort of fly directly upwards and shoot directly downward move, that sort of... the fire hits the ground and spreads out over the immediate area. I'm not certain I could actually prove it at the time, but I had a good feeling that if you're standing behind the waterfall and he's on the other side of it, the fire actually won't spread through the waterfall. The waterfall actually blocks the particle from entering behind it, which means you can actually sit very close to him and still not be hit by that attack, which is a neat thing to know. It really took me a while to actually get used to him, because as my first 4 attempts with Kalameet went, I really didn't know what I was doing. I'd long since forgotten what his move patterns were, and I'm not entirely certain I was ever good at dodging them to begin with. I probably used the Great Shield and tanked. This is probably my first attempt to actually just wear light armor and just avoid things. But it is doable. It is probably more practical to dodge his attacks and try and block most of them. But at least when you're blocking, you can actually spend some time getting used to his attack animations. Without blocking though, you screw up a couple of times out in the open, you're done. Because I'm fighting behind the waterfall and stalling for all I'm worth, I actually, by the end of the fight, I think I might have been able to fight Kalameet much more evenly out in the open. Just because I spent so much time getting used to the few attacks he does have. Like I was even able to dodge a lot of his physical attacks by the end of the fight, which was the only thing that was really bugging me during the main fight before. Although there would have been the problem of when do I attack him? You see, I have a feeling that should have come much closer to me than it did. But it didn't. His actual, when he uses the fire vertically though, or I should say horizontally, you know, I would say it, when he tries to use it sideways instead of up and down, it goes through the waterfall just fine then. But when he uses it directly in the air, it doesn't seem to want to spread through. I might have had trouble fighting him in the open just because you get so many more chances to attack him when he is spamming fire breath. Although I'm being super careful, trying to get him to come closer so I can actually hit him inside the head. I'm pretty sure Kalameet is fairly resistant to all elemental damage. I'm using the physical Caestus here. I don't think the lightning Caestus or the fire Caestus is of any use here. I'm pretty sure he's fairly resistant to both those things, like many of the DLC bosses are. They were designed so that the popular scaling weapons would be less effective against them, just to give them a bit more kick. I don't actually know what Kalameet's weakness might be. It is possible it's lightning, and I just didn't. I've just assumed wrong. But it could also be magic. I don't actually know. He said he doesn't have any innate physical resistance apart from just having a huge health bar. Now, a lot of people find Manus more difficult than Kalameet, and I can understand that. Because it just depends what strategy you're using against Kalameet. After a while, you realise he doesn't have that many attacks. And if you get good at dodging the few really devastating attacks he does have, then you'll mostly be okay. The good thing about the waterfall strategy is I don't think he ever uses Mark of Calamity over here. He just doesn't seem to get the opportunity to try it. Even when you're right underneath him, he doesn't seem to feel like he can actually hit you with it. Which is very different from fighting him out in the open, where he tends to use Mark of Calamity a lot. If you happen to be under his front feet. If you've got the flip ring, you can probably dodge towards the side of his head when he uses the breath attack. You can get there faster. You won't have much stamina when you get there though, so you've got to attack quick with something light. The guy started trying to jump at him, and that cost me some health there. Like just the little things. I think I eventually get in the habit of jump attacking him, but it takes me a few tries to get in the right rhythm. But it's good that I did though, because I really needed to raise my actual DPS. Because at this point I realise this is taking a very long time. And if it takes me too long, like eventually I'm going to start making stupid mistakes again. Yeah, these drawn out fights can get pretty taxing on you after a while. That was one of my major problems with Manus. Like, I beat Manus in, I don't know, 5 attempts? Maybe 6? I don't quite remember off the top of my head, but when you think about it, that's not that many attempts in a normal fight, in a Dark Souls fight. Because in most Dark Souls fight, the fight is, if you've lasted this long, you've usually won already. Because if I'm using a decent weapon, I would be taking chunks off him rather than pixels. But my attack power was so weak. Actually takes quite a while. I don't know what I was thinking there. After a while, if he starts like really spamming that, then you just have to keep dodging. Because you don't want to get stuck in it. I'm as tough as nails as far as my stats are concerned. Basically, you've defeated the latter part of the game by hyper tanking, just innately. I need to be almost as durable as they are in order to beat these bosses with such long drawn out fights. But yeah, you can see how he's trying to walk the waterfall and he just can't do it. Which is weird because he actually can do it, he just, for some reason his AI just won't allow it. If he uses like a dive attack or something, he will go through the waterfall, so it's not like he can't do it. But for some reason it's considered an impassable object for him when he's walking normally. Yeah, as far as cheap tactics go, I consider this about as cheap as plunging attacks versus the Taurus Demon. It's not really impressive to defeat the Taurus Demon with plunging attacks. And even though Kalameet is still much more dangerous than the Taurus Demon, I still think this is probably borderline exploit. Well, it is an exploit. It's not a borderline exploit, it's clearly an exploit, but I don't know. There is still some gameplay here. I haven't rendered him completely harmless or anything like that. It's not like the Armored Spider versus Arrows, or the I'm going to start talking about Demon Souls bosses now. It's the Armored Spider versus Arrows, which was pretty much like instantly you win. Spider can't do anything to you. What else is there? Oh, is it the Tower Knight, where you would sit up on the ramparts and shoot it with arrows? Well, a lot of bosses in Demon Souls hate arrows. Was it the old warrior versus arrows? What are some other ones? Like those ones I consider far more exploitive than this. This isn't quite as bad as like the Flame Lurker glitch either, where you get the Flame Lurker stuck on some geometry and then just shoot it full of arrows. I thought everything in Demon Souls can be slain with arrows, basically, if you can find a spot where they can't reach you. Although my particular favourite, like completely unnecessary version of that would probably be Maiden Astraya versus arrows. Anyway, while I've been off chatting about that, how's Kalameet going? Still breathing fire. I'm still dodging around like an idiot. Looking at the camera, sadly. Really need the sad mask rather than the happy child mask. go for the second attack, but it doesn't connect. Because I suck. Ow. That's a weird attack he just did. I'm guessing that would normally be one of those attacks where he charges through you and then tries to blow you from behind. But can't do that against the wall. It don't work. Now the main thing that draws out this fight unnecessarily is every now and then you're scripted to jump backward away from you. And then he has to walk slowly towards the waterfall while breathing fire the whole way. I get impatient and try and draw him in and end up getting hit for my trouble. Oh, I go back to the safety of my waterfall. Perfect opportunity to attack him there, and I'm wasting it. Nope, I get this one, I think. Nope! I managed to fail even that much. And then does it again. Jeez, I still can't dodge those physical attacks. I don't know whether I'm being careless or if I'm actually just getting surprised by them each time. Either way, I'm being far too careful, it seems. If you get too close to him though, you'll bait out a physical attack, so I guess there is some logic to what I'm doing here. It's just not very fun to watch, is it? Taking out some of the suspense, because half his moves don't work over here. Just a case of waiting for the right fire attack and trying to get him to come over, which he's not doing. Yeah, use this tactic with like a greatsword or something. Make the fight much shorter. Like I said though, it's no good for getting the tail. He never exposes his tail this way. Mind you, I've gotten the tail once before without phantoms, so if I can do it, you can do it. Just don't use Caestus. You'll never get it this way. I could not imagine cutting off the tail with the Caestus. It would require me to be much better than I am. Like I'm barely managing this. And I'm clearly making him use the kid gloves here. Oh, I'm starting to get 3-hit combos in. So maybe this won't take so much longer after all. But who knows? Yeah, well, it seemed like an epic battle when I was in it, believe me. I was like, yes, I can't believe this is working, I might stand a chance. I'm just like, yeah, in retrospect, that's not the attitude to have when pulling off a strategy like this. I should be highly repentant and probably apologize to my viewers, what viewers there are. There's 2 hit. We're almost there. careful of the flame there, it looks like. Also, his angle has gotten a bit weird. Can't very well fight him through the waterfall when he's like sort of on the edge of the waterfall. I should have saw that one. Don't really know what I was doing here. Well, times like this I was starting to feel proud of myself. I'm like, oh, I could have actually dodged his bite attacks this whole time if I'd actually been paying attention. Like, it wasn't impossible. I'm just bad at it. And you'll notice he hasn't used Mark of Calamity the whole fight, no matter what's happened. Nope. I'm not certain what happened there. Looked like I tried to dodge, but it didn't come out for some reason. And that was the end of Kalameet. And I got the ever so wonderful Calamity Ring, which does, I think I show it off here. Yeah, I do. Calamity Ring. Ring enhanced by the orange eye of Kalameet, the Ring of Calamity. Doubles damage received by the wearer. That's all it does. Nothing else. Because, you know, this game isn't hard. We need a hard mode. So we put the Calamity Ring in, because that makes the game hard, apparently. I don't really see the Calamity Ring as making the game hard. It just sort of makes like the New Game Plus mode come earlier than it would otherwise. Yeah, because later on it's more about just not getting hit at all, rather than like, who cares if you get double damage? You're not supposed to be hit ever for any reason, or you die. Yeah, well, I think only Hawkeye over here. Well, that's a hint for people who somehow run out to the middle of into the middle of the valley while he's flying around, that Hawkeye can shoot him down. I really don't know how many people possibly have actually walked out there to read that before they die, but oh well. Back to this bonfire, and we're done with the DLC. Kind of. All the bosses in the DLC are dead, so that's a good thing. I don't think I bothered to murder Marvelous Chester or anything like that. I mean, like every playthrough in Dark Souls, and every area in Dark Souls, when you're about done with the game, you could go around and murder all the NPCs for some random loot or your unique items, but I don't bother to do that in this playthrough. Because, I don't know, generally I like to play as if I'm the actual person, and I don't want to murder these people.
Blessing upon me. That beast will never take to the skies again. This great bow, I shan't need it, but no dragons to hunt. I know not if a human could even operate it, but I need outweighs mine.
Yes, you can get the Goth's Great Bow.
Of the abyss, which swallowed poor Artorias, threatens to devour our entire land of Ullasil. It seems that this dire fate, but seduced by a dark serpent or no, they awoke that thing themselves and drove it mad. One's demise is always one's own making. Now, I cherish my work. I would have much to talk about with that. In truth, still...
Yes, anyway, after you defeat Kalameet, you can get his great bow. Although, for whatever reason, his great bow is still there, right behind him. But apparently he's given it to you. Yeah, that's your actual reward for defeating Kalameet if the Calamity Ring doesn't seem like the reward for you. Yeah! Kalameet is dead. He has been overeating on cheese, and now he has died of heart failure. So, yeah. I am not very proud of myself. I think that was fairly cheap of me. I probably should have reconsidered doing it that way, but I don't know. Dark Souls 2 is coming. I'm not going to delay much longer in actually finishing this up. And it wasn't like that was actually that easy to defeat Kalameet that way either. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next episode, where we'll be back to live commentary.